So there is a story of these three people who went into a house to eat. So they were all hungry. One of them is an Ibaloy. He stood in the distance, and after some time, he just left because of shyness. It overcame him. The second person was a Kalinga. What did he do? He did not eat because water was not served to him. But the third person, who is a Kankanaay, made himself at home. He went straight to the kitchen, served himself with food, and then he proceeded to the chair of the host of the house and enjoyed the food. Howdy everybody, welcome back to FTG Stages. This is your Igorot guy, Freddy. Kumusta kawin kakailyans? Kumusta manan ti panag-isbuyo? Today we are going to talk about a very basic and simple topic, yet complex. And this is all about who are Igorots. And why are we talking about this? It's because this word Igorot confuses the people from the other provinces of the Philippines, the one we refer to as lowlanders. They're confused as to who to refer to as Igorot. And even ourselves, people here in the Cordilleras, don't agree to each other about the use of the term Igorot. So let's start with who is an Igorot. What is the characteristics of an Igorot? Or let's just say, what is the characteristics of a Cordilleran? So I just want to share this story, an anecdote that will describe how the different tribes of the Cordillera characterizes themselves. So there is a story of these three people who went into a house to eat. So they were all hungry. One of them is an Ibaloy. He stood in the distance, and after some time, he just left because of shyness. It overcame him. The second person was a Kalinga. What did he do? He did not eat because water was not served to him. But the third person, who is a Kankanaay, made himself at home. He went straight to the kitchen, served himself with food, and then he proceeded to the chair of the host of the house and enjoyed the food. So that anecdote tells something about how the indigenous groups in the Cordilleras are known and characterized by the Cordilleran community. We may have a very close culture that looks like one in the eyes of the other people from the other provinces of the Philippines, but these characteristics define the cultural uniqueness of each of the IP groups. Filipinos in the Grand Central Cordilleran are most known as Igorots, meaning people of the mountains. But due to the negative connotation of the word, some groups prefer to be identified based on their ethnic classifications. Examples of those are Isnag, Itneg, Kalinga, Bontok, Ifugao, Kankanaay, Ibaloy, and others. The late historian and ethnographer Dr. Henry Scott highly encouraged the use of the original term Igorot because it initially meant to be mountaineer. On the other hand, some Cordillerans refer to be called by their ethnic groups. But historically, the Cordilleras have one thing in common. Whatever they are called, their ancestors resisted to assimilate the Spaniards for 3 centuries. So, are you an Igorot? Even Igorots themselves are still confused as to what the right term should be. So let's go back. The word Igorot came from the word that means mountain chain, and the prefix E meaning dwellers in or people of. William Henry Scott, in his book of Igorots and Independence, gave a concise historical definition for the term Igorot. And believe it or not, Igorot did not come from any Spanish word. It did not come from any foreign word. Igorot came from an indigenous Filipino word. It appeared in the earliest records of the conquest of Luzon by the year 1700. It was applied by the Spaniards to pagans living in the mountains of the present provinces called Pangasinan, Nueva Vizcaya, Ilocos Sur, Benguet, Mountain Province, and Ifugao. It extended in Apayao in the 1770s and Kalinga in 1880s. It was used by some American anthropologists to designate all mountaineers of supposedly Malayan stock, and by others for the Bontoks and Benguets. In the 1950s, a Kalinga president of Bibak, meaning Benguet Ifugao Bontok Apayao Kalinga. This association described Bibak as an organization of Igorot students in Baguio City. When the Cordillera region was formed in the 1980, a group of professionals from different parts of the Cordillera gathered to conduct a comprehensive research and discussion that finally resulted in the adoption of the word Igorot. There is one but very significant stance as to why people also wanted to be called Igorot. It's the view of a need of all of us Igorots and other ethno-linguistic groups to stand up and unite as one for the Igorot heritage, because it's true that we have different characteristics, different practices, but we are under one umbrella of our single heritage, which is the Igorot, which is the blood of our ancestors that fought for the independence of our region. And anyway, the debate as to the use of the word Igorot as a collective term referring to all the people in the Cordillera, specifically the indigenous peoples, is still ongoing. However, with respect to the people and in recognition of the diversity and uniqueness of the peoples of the Cordilleras. And that is a little bit of background as to why the word Igorot is still needing an explanation. And that is just a little view on who are Igorots. We hope that we, Igorots or Cordillerans, and the people from the lowlands may not be confused as to who and what and how, and all questions about the word Igorot. May love and respect shine, and the values and the heritage that our forefathers have gifted us live on and be passed to the next generation. Thanks so much for listening. See you again on the next videos. Cheers!